Hi, I'm John Nixon, and I'm going to show you the features and benefits of the horizontal router table by MLCS Woodworking. The horizontal router table is a lightweight and portable unit that's sturdy and well constructed. Now, the main advantage of having the router in the horizontal position is that you can route wide stock, flat on the table, and not have to stand it up on its edge and ride it against the fence like a traditional router table. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made raised panels, ground molding, custom molding that can be used for picture frames or trim, and how with just one bit I was able to create the mortise and tenon joint and rabbets for this arts and crafts style mirror. Before we begin, let me show you some of the features of this unit. The most notable difference is that you'll feed the stock from left to right. The reason for that is the bit's below the work surface. Now, that's an added safety benefit as well. The bit's not exposed to you as you're routing. Height adjustments are simple. There's two knobs that lock the router into place. Loosen those knobs, and there's a crank on the unit that moves the router bit up and down. And you can get really accurate height adjustments with this knob because one revolution equals 1/16 of an inch. Now, the back of the unit is open, so you can reach your router's power switch and depth adjustment easily. First thing we're going to do is make this molding. To do that, we'll use a bearing guided bit that has the molding profile. We'll cut this molding in 3 passes, raising the bit between each pass. I use push paddles to keep my hands away from the bit. I exert mainly downward pressure, but also pressure against the fence. The first pass is a light pass, and you'll barely see the profile emerge. But in between passes, I shut down the router and raise the bit height slightly. Lock the router into place and make the second pass. Since this is a bearing guided bit, for the third and final pass, I'll level the bearing even with the tabletop. This will cut the full profile of the bit. I was really impressed with the finish that this bit left on the wood. It barely needs any sanding. It looks great right off the router table. The next operation we're going to do is to make this crown molding. It's similar to the molding that we just made, yet we don't have a bearing guided bit, and the profile on the face of the crown molding is a little shallower. We'll make it in 2 passes, and when the face is cut, then we'll put 2 45-degree angles on the back so that the crown fits against a 90-degree angle. I install the crown molding bit into the router, again using downward pressure, and make the first pass. Turn off the router between passes and raise the bit height. This crown molding has a pretty shallow profile, so this second pass will be the final pass. Now that the face is cut, it's time to chamfer the back. I install a 45-degree chamfer bit into the router, and I'll chamfer both edges of the back side of the crown molding. These chamfers that allow the crown molding to fit inside of a 90-degree angle. Now we're going to make tenons, mortises, and rabbets using a solid carbide upcut bit. I've laid out the boundaries of the mortise on the board. I've indicated the left side and the right side and extended those lines so that I can see them on the face of the board. I've also drawn two lines on a piece of masking tape that indicate the left side and right side for this router bit. To make the mortise, I'll plunge the piece into the bit and move it back and forth until the left line on the board meets the left line on the table and the right line on the board meets the right line on the table. The first cut is half the depth of the mortise. Shut down the router and increase the bit to the full depth of the mortise, in this case, 1.25 inches. Making these mortises after the laid out is straightforward and simple. Making the tenons is simple. I use a square piece of MDF as a backer board to support the workpiece as I move it through the bit, so that the resulting tenon matches the thickness of the mortise. The solid carbide spiral upcut bit does a great job cutting the cheek of the tenon. We have two more cuts to make on this tenon, and that's to take a little bit off the shoulder. For this, we'll lower the bit slightly and run the piece through on its edge. That's a really fast, clean way to make tenons. To make them fit the round-sided mortises, we lop off each corner with the chisel. There's a nice snug fit. Now I need to make a rabbet on the edge of the boards for this mirror frame. I use the same spiral upcut bit, just set to a shallower depth. The spiral upcut bit leaves a nice clean finish on the rabbet. After rabbeting the other pieces of the frame, I square up the corners where the rabbets come together. Now it's time to make the raised panel. I use the vertical raised panel bit from MLCS Woodworking to create the raised panel. Initially, I'll set the bit so it's just protruding a little bit above the table, and I use a push stick that has a hook at the rear to guide the piece through. I cut the end grain portion of the panel first. If any tear out should occur, this will get cleaned up when I run the long grain side. Shut down the router and raise the bit for the next pass. It's best to make many incremental passes to ensure a smooth finish on the final pass. You can see the profile starting to take shape. I proceed in this manner until the full profile is cut on the panel. It took about 4 passes, and I got a really smooth finish on the panel. Well, that concludes my demonstration on the MLCS horizontal router table. It's a versatile and capable machine. This unit is offered at a discount in package pricing that includes router bits. And as always, there's free shipping. So check out MLCS Woodworking on the web at www.mlcswoodworking.com or call toll-free at 1-800-533-9298 to purchase yours.